Sound. It's been around since the beginning of time. Loud sounds, quiet sounds, harsh, sweet, medium sounds. Everything makes sound. From the birds in the sky to footsteps of the quiet little mouse in the largest mansion in the world. Though faint and barely hearable by the human ear, sound is still produced. The sounds we can hear, though, that's where the fun begins. Since the earliest of our human history, we have been obsessed with things we hear. So many sounds exist that it is nearly impossible to obtain them all and listen to them in one sitting. Our ancestors, the earliest of our humans, were the first to realize that these sounds could be arranged into sequences. These sequences are what would later form the common song that we hear on the radio today. With all these sounds, humans became obsessed with ways to recreate them. Thus, the musical instrument was created. Though that is another history lesson for another time and video. But with the invention of the musical instrument, these early humans decided that there was a need for a system in which to write these sounds made from these musical instruments. In return, they created the first known writing of music. This piece of musical text was found in a place called Sumer, present-day Iraq, and was created at a section of Sumer called Nippur. The writing of music contained no musical notes, but only instructions on what the music should sound like. It was called a cuneiform, which means wedge-shaped, which is an ancient system of writing created by the Sumerians and consisted of wedge-shaped marks engraved into clay tablets by using a blunt reed. The cuneiform dates back to 2000 BC and mostly has fragments of the instructions for how to play the piece of music. The instructions basically express that the music is to be played primarily in thirds and diatonically. This piece of clay notated music is still a controversial topic amongst musicians and music historians alike. Some commonly agree theories, which are supported from other cuneiforms found nearby where the original was found, are that the symbols indicate the tunings of strings on a lyre, and that the clay piece found is just a sample of the simple melodies written in this piece of music. Nevertheless, this is the first piece of notated music found in the history of the world to this day. Unless sounds are held by the memory of man, they perish, because they cannot be written down. That was a quote that Isidore of Seville once said, a musician and theorist of the 7th century. Up until this time, there was still no official system of writing, if only he were born 200 years later. The time, roughly 2,500 years into the future, after the first notation of music, 850 AD in Eastern Europe. Created by monks in monasteries across the eastern part of Europe, a new system of musical notation would take over. It was a mnemonic device used to represent Gregorian chant, which used symbols referred to as tones, which are reflective marks that represent the shape of the melody, but not the correct notes and pitches of the notes. The lines were not necessarily notes to be played, they just represented what it was supposed to be sung. Because the system only contoured the melodies, someone who was not trained to read this type of music system would not be able to understand it very easily, like we can today. Though the musical notation system had come a long way since the early clay tablets, there was still no system to represent rhythm. It wasn't until the 14th century that the original cut dry version of the system we use today arose. It was German music theorist Franco of Cologne who suggested that each note could have its own length and rhythms. He devised a system with different shapes for the notes. Each shape represented a different rhythm and length. This almost resembles the common present form of musical notation in the world today, though it did not include bar lines or measures until the 17th century. Along with bar lines came meters, time signatures, and finally key signatures. This is what finally shaped the music notation system that we have and use today. Many things were needed in order to notate music. I previously mentioned that the cuneiforms were made by doling down the tip of some reed and making wedge-shaped symbols in red clay. For this, Thus, the first tools used to write music were watered down clay and reed. When the monks started to develop their system of writing, the tools used were quills, ink, and parchment. They were very precise with all aspects of their writing. In fact, to write anything during this period involved much skill, attention to detail, and of course, time. The quill and parchment paper technique quickly took Europe by storm, making it the most logical and most commonly used technique for writing in general. Music was written on huge long sheets of parchment. When finished, they were called manuscripts. A famous composer of the late 17th, early 18th centuries used this quill and parchment technique. His name? Johann Sebastian Bach. His talent was beyond compare to anyone in the music scene at the time. He was from Germany, a musical prodigy, composer, and full-time organist for the church. Though he wrote nearly 1,000 compositions in his lifetime, his credibility as a composer was not established until after his death in 1750. His fame surpassed him and continues to show his genius even today. But how and why did his pieces circulate so far for so long? Those who visit his genius, he was the son of Johann Ambrosius Bach, who directed the musicians of the time. His people were also musicians as well as scientists. It was them who taught young Johann how to play the instruments he learned in his childhood. One of these was the organ. He started writing organ music for the church at a very young age. It was all of these factors that led to the legacy he has today. But one stands above the rest: his writings. If he had never taken his quill and wrote his musical thoughts on parchment, it's most probable that his music would not have survived long after his death. There are many new ways to notate music today in the modern world. Technology has made things much easier for the composer than it was 300 to 400 years ago when they still used this quill and parchment technique. Because of technological advances, not only in the workplace, but also in music, the world of composition and musical notation has changed drastically, quickly, and for the better. After the invention of recording, the music recording industry burst into a frenzy. It was a gold mine just waiting to be picked. As time advanced, so did other ideas for the technology. This only added better sound to recordings. Technological advances were made in microphones, EQ mixing boards, and most importantly, computer and recording software advances. Instruments were now beginning to be made entirely of electricity. Keyboards with thousands of different sounds were being invented. Guitars and other string instruments were beginning to have pickups installed in them. Because of all of these advances, composition had never been easier. Today, probably the most common practice for musical notation is recording. There are programs being designed and further developed each and every day that allow the musician or composer to plug their instrument into an interface box, which is then plugged into a computer with a recording software system on it and record what they play. After recording it, some software offers the option to convert it into music notation on a music staff instead of just seeing the audio version. This is the most common way people write music today. Another way to write music in the present day is to use online notation sites. Many offer free versions or trials, but the more detail-oriented versions usually cost money. These sites are highly rated for notating music and work well because they offer the option to play back the composer's writing with the pre-recorded sounds. This way the writer can hear what they are writing without having to play it themselves. Sometimes while writing, composers lose track of what they really want to hear versus what they want to know, and composers cannot break the balance both at the same time, so this tool is really good at this way. And of course, there's always the old system of writing, such as the quill and parchment, just updated. This is, quote, the pencil and paper technique. This update from the known classic gives the composer the option to redo things with the eraser. With the quill and parchment technique, the composer had to know exactly what they were writing and what they wanted to hear. With the pencil, melodies can be changed instantly without having to rewrite the whole piece of music. Just the notes or melodies the composer needs to change. Based on all of these technological advances in the world today, smartphones, wireless connectivity, technology that talks to you, self-parking cars, video chat, etc., I believe that the future of music technology is wireless connectivity. Bluetooth has taken the world by storm and made us all slaves to it. Virtually anything created electric instruments will start having this Bluetooth connectivity built into them. By doing this, the musician has the freedom of moving around easier without wires and plug-in boxes to trip over. It would save much setup time prior to recording as well as energy, labor. The conversion of audio to sheet music on the computer will be the same process, but getting it into the computer will change drastically with Bluetooth compatibility. Another advance I think will happen in the musical notation world is video recording. I think that someone down the line will create a smart video camera that can film you as you play your instruments. Once filmed, the computer will analyze the video to see what kinds of chords, notes, melodies, dynamics, harmonies, and technical theories that the musician played. After analyzing the songs, it will then convert the visual audio of this song onto sheet music with the correct notes, rhythms, expressions, and styles. What would be best is if the two ideas could work hand in hand. The video recording would work as I explained. Also, the Bluetooth connectivity will work as per my descriptions as well. By using both the artist, the composer, musician, or recording studio producer will have a much more precise outcome of the musical notation of their song.